Welcome back to Literocity. I'm Chastity Downing, Middle School Language Arts Specialist. Our area is so rich in museums and hands-on experiences for our students. Our 5th and 8th grade students study Holocaust literature, and today we're here at the Holocaust Museum. Could you tell us a little bit about what folks can expect when they come visit the museum?
When you come and visit the museum is 3 floors. The first floor is a chronological overview of the events that led up to the Holocaust, and the aftermath. Our second and third floors, the exhibits change periodically every 3 to 6 months. We have one of the largest collections of Holocaust and genocide arts that rotate periodically through the 2 floors, and a lot of personal stories. I think the most powerful artifact that we have here in the museum is an original boxcar that came from Gdynia, Poland. It's a piece of history, an authentic piece of history, and it's very overwhelming when you stand there and think about the history of an ordinary object that was turned into part of the Nazis' killing machine.
And I know you have such a great partnership with Pinellas County Schools. Could you tell us a little bit about how that partnership works?
The partnership we have with Pinellas County Schools is through Literacy, because there are so many stories, personal stories about the Holocaust, and we embrace that. For instance, Anne Frank. Anne Frank was a real person, and she wrote a diary. She was a young girl, a young adolescent girl, and most 8th grade students read Anne Frank. And I think people can relate to her because she was a typical teenage girl.
We're in front of these beautiful tiles. Could you tell us a little bit about how these tiles came about?
When the museum first opened, every single school group that came into the building were given tiles. And they would go back to school and they would put a positive message on the tile, and they would send it back to us. We provided the box and all the shipping. And then we had a local artist that would glaze and fire them, and they were put on the wall. The message I think that comes across in the tiles is hope and tolerance and understanding and getting along with people.
Yeah.
And that was in the teaching trunks. So who are you most responsible? So the people we feel most responsible for is our immediate family, our parents, our siblings, and then we also provide teaching trunks to teachers that have all different kinds of books. They are all age appropriate, grade appropriate for students, and there's teaching guides in those trunk materials so that all the work has been done for the teacher. This is the contents of a middle school trunk, and so you'll see in there are 30 copies of Anne Frank. There's an inventory, there is a teaching guide, there are literature circle books. In here there are reference books for the teachers, videos, and then instructions of how to use the trunk. And these are free. We do all the shipping and receiving, and like I said, they ship all over the United States.
So why is this important for you guys, and why is it important to educate the students?
I think it's important to educate students so that they understand that the Holocaust wasn't an accident, it wasn't a natural disaster, it was a man-made catastrophe. Human beings did this to their fellow human beings, and it was because of choices people made. The Holocaust didn't start with the murder of millions of people, it started with words. And words matter. Words can lead to actions, and words can have good actions, and words can have negative actions. And we're hoping that children take away these lessons, that they can make a difference by simply doing the right thing. Adolf Hitler came to power January 1st, 1933. Kristallnacht was November 9th and 10th of 1938. So it was about 5 years after he came to power. And they burnt down synagogues, they burnt businesses, and more than 30,000 men were arrested. So this was the synagogue that my mother belonged to.
Recently, Sandy hosted a group of 8th grade students from Midtown Academy to the museum, and they heard her personal story of the Holocaust.
This apartment into a restaurant. And my grandmother served between 25 and 40 people a day in this little restaurant, and she did all the cooking all by herself. Everything was made fresh, the bread, the cakes, the food, everything.
And then the students toured the museum.
The German people were suffering, and Adolf Hitler was very charismatic, and he promised to fix all these problems. Because the government of Germany thought that Hitler could stabilize the government. They thought they could control him, and that if they put him in a high-ranking government position, that he could help control the government. So the Nazis killed people all different kinds of ways. Many people were killed. They were starvation, disease, they were gassed at camp, they were worked to death. They were also shot.
What does it mean to have students come here and experience all the artifacts and the stories from the Holocaust?
It's a lesson about teaching people about respect and getting along, and that the Holocaust was about real human beings. There were 11 million stories, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, cousins, aunts, and they were ordinary people just like all of us.
So I know you've been reading some literature in your language arts class about the Holocaust Museum. Did you see some connections today about what you've learned and what you saw today?
Yes, the picture of the train right behind me, it just brought back a memory that we were reading inside of our class today.
So tell us one thing today that you learned at the Holocaust Museum.
I've learned that violence isn't always the way.
So tell us a little bit today about your students' reaction to the Holocaust Museum.
I just heard one student say how disrespectful people were, that she was very offended by it. They were captivated by the hatred that they saw. I think that was the most emotional thing they saw. And I think what they'll go away with is the human hatred that they saw here and the effects of it.
What a wonderful learning opportunity for our students to relive some history at one of our true treasures in Pinellas County. I'm Chastity Downing. Thanks for watching Literocity, and see you next time.